Alright, the sound's working.
Alright, good.
Alright, first question. How many Jews can you fit in a car?
Oh, fuck, bro.
Well, I guess it depends how many noses.
Answer me.
Alright, what's your answer though?
I'm gonna get 23. 23, man, mate. 23. 23 is my answer. Am I wrong or right? How many
Lock
Jews
it in,
can I fit in a fucking car? Alright. Alright, so today's topic, we want to go a bit away from the COVID world. Yeah, look, we can argue all day whether COVID's a scam, whether this military lockdowns are part of the New World Order, all that kind of stuff. But we're a little bit over it. So let's talk about how the world's run by satanic pedophiles. Eh?
Why?
No, not satanic pedophiles. Let's start with the occult. Eh? Let's go into the occult. So what do we got here? So what is this? 2 in the front, 3 in the back. Yeah, straight. You're fucking this.
Τώρα μου το είπανε που πέθανε ο παππούς,
Yeah, yeah.
Θεός, συλληπιτήρια. Πότε πέθανε, last week.
Yeah, Κυριακή, 1η Αύγουστο.
1η Αυγούστου.
1η Αύγουστο. Ήταν σημαντική ημέρα για το...
Και στο ρόκο του.
Yeah, ρούκο είναι. Θα πάω πάλι αύριο.
Πού είναι, πίσω εκεί που είναι.
Με όλοι τα Έλληνες είναι. Δεν ξέρω πού.
Αλλά εκεί είναι τώρα.
Αυτή την κημητήριο είναι.
Την άλλη φορά μου είπες ότι ακόμα ήταν και λέει το πέθανε, λέει από παστό. Τι να κάνουμε.
Έτσι είναι η ζωή. Έτσι είναι. Δεν ξέρει τι μέρα θα...
Ήτανε πόσο χρονών.
91.
Τι να κάνουμε. Ο παππούς του πέθανε.
Passed away.
Αλλά 91. Ευχαριστώ.
Θα φτάσει και η γιαγιά 91 θέλει.
Να νομίζω.
Θα το στήσεις.
Θέλεις να κάω 91.
Ναι.
Και 100.
Ναι.
Να ζήσω πολλά χρόνια ακόμα.
Ναι.
Νόγορι, έχω γκούτ το κολοκοτρώνι κρατάω.
Ξέρω.
Και το... Οκ. Να θέλετε να σας φέρω κάτι.
Όχι.
Γιατί.
Δεν θέλω
Να
τίποτα.
βάλω μια σόπα.
Όχι, τίποτα. Όχι, τίποτα. Okay. Alright, we're
You
back.
actually cold there, you got shorts.
No, I'm cold, bro.
Jeez.
Fuck off. Fuck me dead. Fuck me dead. Alright, we're back. Sorry. It's wog stuff. Talking to our grandparents.
Yeah. So where were we? Okay,
Alright, so today we're talking about the occult. We're going to talk about essentially how Satan, albeit these dark evil spirits, have infiltrated pop culture, and essentially, how that's all going to be. Apparently, we've cut Peter out of this video.
No, your phone has back.
Yeah, my phone's gone fucked up.
Your evil satanic.
Evil satanic phone.
Satanic
Alright,
phone.
so where do we start? Let's start with Aleister Crowley, bro. Do you know who Aleister Crowley is?
No.
Aleister Crowley is
Crowley
in lots of music. Yeah,
Black Sabbath?
Yeah, Ozzy Osbourne.
Ozzy
Osbourne sings about it.
Mr. Crowley, that's the song, isn't it?
Yes, Mr. Crowley is the song. So Aleister Crowley is essentially the founding father of the modern day Church of Satanism.
Yeah.
And he was around in the 60s, and he created wrote a few books. He was part of the Golden Dawn, and eventually, I don't know how exactly, but he made his way into like fame in Hollywood. And Aleister Crowley is what a lot of rock singers in like the 60s and 70s aspired to, and like read his books, like, oh, I want to be like him. So he's on the front cover of Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Heart Club Band. Obviously, people like Led Zeppelin sing about him, Rolling Stones, Alice Cooper, Black Sabbath, Ozzy Osbourne. It's really, really interesting, actually. Like, if you look at, like, I didn't realize how much the devil was in fucking Rolling Stones, bro. Like, Sympathy for the Devil, Running with the Devil. I think it was like a third album, something to do with Hell. Obviously, Kiss, like the God of Thunder.
It's a common thing.
It's a common
in rock.
100% a common thing in rock and roll. Like Black Sabbath, obviously, is all to do with Satan.
Yeah.
But it's weird how much of it is actually just within pop culture, but no one actually really realized it. Now the question is why? Why is Satan always there, bro? Is it because they've sold the soul to the devil and they're using evil satanic forces to get where they want to be? or is it just because it sells, and because it sells records and people buy it?
Well, we've got to look at what the rock movement is, right? Isn't the rock movement essentially a movement away from all that happy-go-lucky kind of music? It's kind of a rebellion.
Isn't that what the Beatles was? Where Beatles fucking pop? But then yeah, they were like Beatles were seen as like devil music back in the day.
That's what I mean. Wasn't Elvis seen?
Yeah, Elvis was
kind of along the same vein.
Yes.
Something revolutionary, right?
Yeah, something revolutionary.
So
yes.
maybe the devil, something satanic, or the devil symbolized that rebellion, that revolution.
Yeah, true.
For something pure to something more evil or more along those lines.
Okay, cool. So let's raise the stakes a bit more. Do you know about how Jimmy Page and Jimmy Page? They say that Jimmy Page was obsessed with the occult and like obsessed with like occult imagery,
right.
Occult like symbolism, books on the occult, essentially as. What do you call it? Yeah, so people like obviously Ozzy Osbourne was obsessed with the occult. A lot of these bands were obsessed with the occult. Like that's how Alice Cooper got his name. Alice Cooper's real name is Vincent Verona, and then eventually he did a Ouija board and found that he was really a reincarnation of a dead nurse called Alice Cooper, and credited being Alice Cooper. Bro, I would not fuck with an Ouija board. Would you fuck with an Ouija board?
I'd be interested to.
So you're doing a Ouija board.
Well, I'd be curious to see.
So
what it's all about.
You know what a Ouija board is, right?
Yeah, it's a coin. Something like that, and it's meant to summon some.
Yeah, so you summon the spirit in the room, the vicinity, and like the coin goes to the spirit's name, and eventually the spirit will like latch onto you and possess you. Would you take that risk? Would you, bro?
As if that doesn't sound interesting, does it?
It does sound interesting.
I would do it at least to experience it and find out whether it's true or not.
But what if it is true? You're fucked. Because then, like, you got a devil, like, you got like a demon running after you, lash onto you essentially, a spirit.
Then I'm in a good position to try to understand. I can't just talk about it without experience, right? I don't know.
I would have fucked with that shit, bro.
If that's actually true, that's fucking scary. I agree, but
that's the thing is, why does it exist so much in popular culture? Why do all these cunts, all these elites, do all these sort of like occult practices? Like spirit cooking. Like, what the fuck is spirit cooking? Why do they do that? Spirit cooking, for those that don't know, is where they get like the paper mache dead body and they drink and worship the blood of the dead body. And all the elites do it. It's not a fucking conspiracy, it's a fact. You can look up Amelia Breavich. She works for Microsoft, and they do it with Bill Gates and the Obamas, and Hugh Jackman loves it as well. It's really, really interesting.
Well, they have their own little societies, right? Their own little rituals and societies that they do. So is it just a form of that? Is it like their own religion, so to speak, like a Masonic?
Oh, definitely.
Something like a Masonic society.
Yeah, it's like a
religious.
Ritual.
Yeah,
it's a ritual.
Religious society.
Yeah, because animal sacrifices is what you do in Satanism. You sacrifice animals for Satan.
Yeah.
So.
But sacrificing animals from a religious perspective has occurred in the past. In history, right?
Yeah, of course it has.
In the Aztecs, didn't they do that?
Yeah, of course they did. It's in the Bible.
Yeah, it's even in the Bible.
Yeah.
So it's in ancient times, even before then, it occurred, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So are they not just repeating that, or inspired by something barbaric?
Okay, then we accepted the fact that the elites and those who run the world, and we aspire to worship evil, dark forces, essentially, and participate in ritual magic. If this is a fact.
If they do, that's what it seems.
Okay.
If they do, I don't know.
Okay.
I haven't read into it.
Okay.
But if they do.
But they do. Like there is.
What's the other?
The photos, videos, speeches about it. Spirit cooking.
Right.
Spirit cooking, where they get the dead body, and it's like a paper mache dead body in like in an eyes wide shut, and they essentially symbolize draining the blood, where the body is like in a pool of its own blood. Then they get cups and they drink the blood, and then do like a sermon to like the all-seeing eye and Baphomet. Baphomet is the Baphomet in the goat's head, which is like they always sacrifice a goat, and it's not a conspiracy. You watch videos of it.
Okay, so why do they do that?
I don't know.
Is it to generate power?
Yes, I think it's
to summon something to enable health. for themselves.
I think it's something.
Power?
I think it's something to do with. I don't really understand. To do something to do along those lines.
Is it like the equivalent of Lord Voldemort?
Yes.
Or a Dementor sucking the life out of someone
Yes.
for their own benefit?
Yes, that's what Harry Potter is based on, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's essentially
Like
like
a Dementor.
yes, essentially it's a blood sacrifice ritual.
Right.
Where they sacrifice people for the blood, and then eventually it all correlates to Satan. But why is it so prevalent that you see, especially in the music industry, where people they say they sold their soul to the devil? Like Katy Perry says she sold the soul to the devil. Lady Gaga said she did. Madonna's said it many times.
So is that just a term that they throw around?
Is
They
it?
sold their soul to the devil, being the evil corporate businesses, right?
Is it?
Do they actually literally mean the devil, or what's perceived to be the devil?
Well, why do they have so much like satanic and essentially ancient Egyptian mythology to do with dark forces within their own acts? Like Lady Gaga's Super Bowl act in the year 2019, where she essentially went around in a pentagram,
Yeah.
where she had pyramids everywhere, the eye of Horus everywhere, Baphomet was everywhere. She's dressed up as Baphomet. Like what the fuck? Machine Gun Kelly does that quite a bit. He's always doing this with the eye of the pyramid. He's got like pyramid tattoos all over him.
Are they doing that on purpose so people like us can
Are they?
examine it, identify it?
Are they? Are they doing it as a way to like show their power? I mean, that explains.
Yeah.
What's his name? What's that rapper? Kanye West, where he fucking did a whole freak out, where he was just like, yeah, I'm part of controlled. Where he went on stage and just said, yeah, we're all being controlled by the Illuminati. No one thinks of themselves. We're all being conditioned to think a certain way. And then the next day he went into like mental rehab.
Yeah.
That was weird actually. Then Donald Trump went and met him, and then like he went at him. That was
True.
fucking
Is it?
weird.
No, let's stick to that point. Is it to show off their power, just like a king would have a throne and have
Yeah.
a palace and,
Yeah.
and all the like? Is that not what these celebrities are doing?
They're showing
their
off,
own way?
showing off their satanic power, or their allegiance to Satan, their allegiance to these dark forces, or their little cult.
Doesn't have to be allegiance, but showing off power, showing off something.
Okay. And these symbols can
And
only
the images
Yeah.
portrayed have that evil background to them.
Okay, that makes sense. But why though? But then again, that means you still accept the fact that evil, dark spirit forces control the music industry, and all these messages in there are for a certain way.
I don't even know what that means.
Okay, so essentially,
Evil
like,
dark forces
okay, essentially,
control
like
the-
these.
What does that mean?
Like these dark spirits, they're ones that. I told you this is gonna link to COVID in a bit. So essentially, there is an evil cabal. All right, the powers that be control the world. Right.
Powers of
Yeah, the powers that be,
Okay.
be it the globalists, be it the fucking the New World Order, be it the
So
UN.
authority. Let's call them authority.
Yeah, the authority, they control the world. Now, whether they're Satanists,
Because they're
whether
authorities.
yeah, they're nefarious and they control the world through evil, dark forces.
Yeah.
And one of their plans is essentially to get the world caring less about others and caring more about themselves.
Yeah.
This is at the core of Satanism. It's all about the self, right?
Right.
And caring about the self, and having the concept of a collective self or a collective conscious being invalid. That's wrong.
Okay.
You should put yourself before others.
So how have the authorities demonstrated the idea of nurturing oneself? What's an example?
To make the self better. What do you mean?
You're saying
Yeah.
the focus is on improving oneself.
Not improving oneself, but being selfish.
Okay, well, being selfish.
Take anything for yourself.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the whole
But-
concept of a music rock.
Okay, but
yeah.
how what's an example of the authorities reinforcing that on people?
Reinforcing that
Yeah.
by getting rid of communism, by having communism not exist, by having every single famous song that's on the top 40 radio being about generating power, money, wealth, getting laid, and all about just being selfish, essentially.
Right.
Yes.
Oh, so it's via the music.
Yes.
So,
We're talking about
okay.
music.
So the authorities have an agenda, you're saying?
Yes, that's the
They
agenda.
want the world to be selfish,
Yes.
because if people are selfish, you're saying they're easier to control?
Yes, and they can never band together to take down the powers that be.
Right. So that secures
Yes.
the authorities.
Yes. Because no one questions it.
Yeah. So the authorities are doing that to secure their own positions in power.
Yes.
And to do that, they understand selfishness is the means to achieve
Yes.
that. How do they do that? They influence
Yes.
culture.
Yes.
Sorry. They don't influence culture.
Yes, they do.
They allow the influence of culture, or
Yes.
they push the influence of culture
Yes.
in a certain way.
Yes.
So you're saying that culture is the celebrities are essentially puppets
Yes.
to the authorities.
Yes, exactly. That's CIA Operation Mockingbird is about. It was like a plot in the US in the 60s, essentially, to have a lot of these celebrities who were like government agents to
Yeah.
promote certain things, like the Doors. Jim Morris's dad worked for the CIA, was under CIA Operation Mockingbird. Like didn't use his son, but allegedly like used his son to promote like the hippie movement. That's why John Lennon, they say, was killed because he was promoting communism. That's why a lot of like the 60s, yeah, like the weed movement. A lot of these celebrities were like endorsed marijuana. And then the 80s, yeah, like more of like a cocaine movement. It's a lot of to do with drug trafficking as well. And the 90s also a lot of heroin through grunge movement, through Nirvana, and now it's like MDMA. And it was obviously especially in the US, they make a lot of money, the CIA, through drugs and drug smuggling. I mean, that's why they're in the war in the Middle East, is because Iraq, Afghanistan have all the poppy fields, and then from there they can generate revenue from these drugs and sell them on the streets and have it through music.
Yeah, so we can agree that the drug market generally is just skyrocketing, right? A lot of people depend on drugs.
And it's fueled by the government.
Not only like recreationally and medically.
Yes.
So in order to survive.
Yes.
And also in order to garner a greater experience of life.
Yes.
Out of curiosity.
Yes.
So that as a whole, if you add all
Yes.
that is a means of controlling people.
Yes, it is.
Because it's altering their experience of life,
Yes.
and therefore they're easier to control because
Yes.
what are they going to do?
Mm-hmm.
They're kind of handcuffed in a way.
Exactly. 100%. And then we can take this back to Satanism and like it's influencing popular culture. Because let's say we look at the amount of pyramids, singular eyes. The number 3 turns up a lot. The number 13 as well, which are all part of satanic imagery and got to do with, again, ritual black magic.
I would argue that focusing on the individual also makes a person confused, and when a person's confused, they struggle to have a direction.
Yeah, exactly. That's why no one has direction.
You cannot gather a revolt against authority
No,
with
you can't.
confused individuals.
No, you cannot. Exactly. This is why the whole concept of the self is portrayed as like the ideal thing within Western civilization, especially through pop culture, in order to stifle control. In order to stifle, which is to stifle essentially a revolution occurring.
Not only Western, but also Eastern, because Western cultures has spread throughout the world.
Yes, it has.
Largely, not everywhere, but it's spread larger. Look at China.
Yes. Yeah. China's
been influenced by Western ideals,
Yes,
culture.
Yes,
Southeast Asia,
Yes.
India.
Yes.
It's spread. Middle East as well. We're
Yes,
seeing Middle
yes, it
Eastern
has.
countries turn Western.
Yes, they are.
Why is America always fighting in the Middle East?
Well,
What's
that's
the
for drugs. That's for drugs.
I know, but one of the consequences there is it's a spread of American culture as well, right?
To a certain point. Yeah, it is in Saudi Arabia now.
Mm.
Yeah, Saudi Arabia is becoming a lot more westernized. Like the WWE was in Saudi Arabia, but they didn't allow any women to participate. Only men to participate in Saudi Arabia. Yeah, but yeah, a lot of it to do with But the thing is, what baffles me is that whether these fucking artists literally sold their soul to the devil through a ritual in order for their talents. Because that would explain Ozzy Osbourne not fucking dying. And why do so many celebrities go through a stage of drugs, near blackout and death, and then come back as like, and then dissociate away from the world? Like Alice Cooper.
I think you're pointing to some hidden secret satanic society to which they were involved in.
There is.
Now, I'm interested whether that's true, but also whether that's actually the main factor. Because in the 60s, there was a big drug movement.
Yes, it was.
Right? There was pot, there was LSD, there was all sorts of
Yeah.
drugs. Surely those drugs and the impact of taking those drugs may have had an influence in the way they thought and what ideas they came up with. Because when you think about musicians, they're artists, right? And artists tend to use the imagination to express their art, which is music.
Why do they always see with the fucking devil?
Was it the drug? Was it the drugs that made them say or think all these very strange ideas?
About the devil, about Satan, about selling the soul of the devil, and they're doing like satanic things, like the bands like Slayer or Metallica never showed the devil. Slayer obviously did. But I think Slayer's more. Slayer did it more like on purpose.
Actually, yeah, you got a good point. That may explain why they did in the first instance, but it doesn't explain why it's so constant across a lot of artists.
Well, some bands are generally satanic. Like we can go to like Northern European satanic black metal that generally worship Satan. Like went around burning churches in Norway. That's like actual like devil like satanic music. More what you're talking. People like Slayer. Slayer are fucking Christians. Slayer just do it just to.
But why is it a rebellion against religion or against Christianity?
In Europe, yes. I think bands like specifically bands like Slayer, I think that's where it sells. It's just fucking cool. When you're
that's what I mean. Yeah. It's like, oh, screw that group, I'm joining this one.
Yes.
It's like, oh, I was raised a Catholic. Catholicism sucks.
Yes.
Boring. I don't get it.
Yes.
Oh, I'll join this group because people want to belong to something, right?
Yes, that's what Marilyn Manson essentially did, because Marilyn Manson was a Satanist, and in the '90s, a lot of his music is about. It has a lot of, especially with his music videos, a lot of imagery to do with occult sacrifice rituals. Like his album, his biggest hit is Antichrist Superstar.
Yeah.
The Metamorphosis of Los Angeles, which was one of the first ever accounts of demonic possessions. He's a genuine like practicing Satanist.
Yeah.
And then a lot of the stuff they do is like orgies, sex orgies, obviously the blood sacrifice rituals, the spirit cooking. But they're not like, it's not a conspiracy, it's just a fact.
That's true. So how did it come about? Because occult practices have existed for hundreds, thousands of years.
Yes,
right?
yes, they have.
I know we're just focusing on the 1960s and from a musical perspective, but it has existed a while back. Do you know much about do you know much about the historical
significance of occult practices?
Yeah, the historical aspects of occult practices.
No, but I am reading.
It does go back in time.
It goes back to like thousands of years, bro. Like ancient Egypt. Ancient Egypt essentially did occult
right.
practices. But all of them account to essentially summoning some sort of like group energy that's inherently evil.
Right.
That's always inherently evil, essentially. Like the whole concept.
That's malicious. By evil, we mean it's malicious.
Yes.
So,
yes, it's like forces that you shouldn't be tapping into. That's what occult practices tend to be. There tends to be like a price that you pay. Yeah. Like if you get like this power, let's say the power of immortality, or the power of Ozzy Osbourne, you just can't fucking die. There's like a yin and a yang. Something else has to happen.
Yeah.
Like someone has to die, or like someone has to get sick in your family, or you might make it to 99, but then spend eternity in hell or some shit. That tends to be like the stories that are told throughout all religions and throughout like all of history, which is really, really interesting. But that translates a lot into film. That's what happens with like a lot of movies, a lot of stories, is that you sell your soul to the devil. Say Homer sold the devil for a donut, but then he gets a donut, but the devil owns his soul. Like essentially, that's what like a lot of that's what selling your soul. So the whole concept of all these artists selling the soul for fame, whether it's actually selling the soul to these evil, dark, nefarious forces which control the world, or they're just doing it. They're just selling the soul to a record label, essentially.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out. Whether
because symbolism,
whether the devil means literally what we call the supernatural evil force, because that's what the devil is.
Yes.
Devil's not a person.
No. Yeah.
It's an evil supernatural force,
yes.
right? That we name it, right?
Yes.
Or is it the devil meaning the authorities they're yielding to?
Well,
they're under the control of them.
Yes. Now, I think these authorities are nefarious, and there's symbolism, strife in all of the world. Let's say this Pepsi thing, right?
Yeah.
Number 3 is strife. There's number 3, 13, 23, 666 are strife, and they throughout the rest of the world. So this Pepsi can, how many colors is it? 1, 2, 3, boom, boom. The Google Chrome logo, circle in the middle, and then 3 like rhombuses around it.
Yeah.
Right. That's 6, 6, 6. Also, that's also the thing to do with adrenochrome. So this is where it gets to the pedophile. But this is where we get into COVID. So essentially, the people who control the world are evil, satanic pedophiles. Okay. These people control the world, and they like drinking the blood of children in order to stay young forever. Okay. Now, There are studies showing that the blood of children injected into the elderly help them stay young. It help them
Like a blood
regenerate.
transfusion.
Yeah, blood transfusion from
Right.
children
Okay.
because of adrenochrome, which is a hormone that occurs in the blood of young people, allows for cell repair.
Right.
This is why human trafficking and pedophilia is so rife throughout the world, because it sells these organs and the blood sells quite highly to these elites that control the world. Now, if we accept the fact that blood sacrifice is normal and something you want to do in Satanism, and there is video documented evidence of all these elites throughout Hollywood and throughout politics around the world participating in these events, and then we also assume the fact that adrenochrome is highly sought after in the elderly for them to stay young, then we can connect a few dots that these pedophiles control the world. Second point, I don't understand why the discussion of this is banned off mainstream media. If it's banned and you can't question it, why is it banned? Why can I not question that these evil satanic pedophiles control the world and they
Fine,
put...
okay. The second question's a lot easier to answer than the first question.
Okay, I give you another...
The second question is very easy.
Okay.
There's clearly an agenda by organisations and authorities to control what is being said,
Yes.
because we have the ability to voice our opinions
Yes.
in a grand scale.
Yes.
Never ever have we been able to voice our opinions about something.
Yes.
That poses a risk to an authority or an organisation to
Yes.
control their agenda and to
Yes.
control truth
Yes.
or information, right?
Yes.
Because the more people you have voicing their opinion, the more risk there is that it devalues or it cripples what an authority wants to be distributed, right?
Yes.
So, they silence what they don't want people to hear,
Yes.
and they provide a platform, or they allow voices that they want to fit the narrative.
Yes. Yes.
And that's very obvious.
That's very
To, like,
100% obvious.
anyone can notice that.
Yeah,
if
anyone
you
can
if you
notice
can just look at it.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so that second question is very easy
Okay,
to.
then why?
And it's easy to identify what that narrative is
Yes.
because of the scale and paths the censorship has taken. It's so
Yes.
easy. It's consistent across many platforms.
Okay.
That you can just draw similarities and go, okay, they're trying to exclude that
Yes.
from being perpetuated.
Okay. Cool. So we've
Second question is easy.
Okay. Cool.
The
Then,
first question, though.
Then account for two things. A, the push for pedophilia and the push for accepting especially young girls, to be attractive to like the male gaze. We're talking like under 12 years old.
Yeah.
Such as, what was a Netflix series called? Little Creep?
Yeah.
Can't remember what it was
recall
called.
that.
Yeah, the one with the fucking little girls dancing. That made me feel uneasy. Why the
So
fuck?
is this when you say the evil elite and all that?
Yeah.
Are you saying is this concentrated in the US? Like
No.
where is it concentrated?
All around the world.
Okay, so including Australia.
Yes, definitely. Scott Morrison is part of it, definitely.
Okay.
Yes, so this is all around the world. It's all orchestrated. They say that Netflix show, they were trying to essentially push the concept of like 12-year-old girls to be sexy and twerking. I think it got pulled off Netflix, and Netflix lost a lot of money for it. But why is that? That's being seen now as like as a good thing. Like Britney Spears was fucking 16 when she was in "Hit Me Baby One More Time." That's fucked up. That's pedophilia. But that's being pushed more and more now to society and to be accepted as kind of like part of like the LGBT movement, which isn't probably a good thing.
That raises a good discussion about censorship and whether it actually has a place at all. Because if you believe that's disgusting,
Yeah.
do you also believe it has the right to be shown to the public?
No, because it's immoral. But then we've got to
Okay, that now. Now we enter a whole new discussion of
what is moral, what is not moral.
what is morality,
So whether
If you believe it should not be shown because it's immoral,
Yep.
then who decides that? Is that not what the authorities are doing by censoring what you're saying about them being reptilians?
Yes.
Because they believe that you saying that is immoral. Because it's not true.
Okay, but what has greater negative detriments to society? Finding out that these elites are actually pedophiles, or promoting pedophilia, and who decides the morals that pedophilia?
If we all found out that the world is run by pedophiles, there will be utter chaos. Civilization would crumble, would go into revolt.
Isn't that what usually happens with the civilization before they collapse? They find out they're like the Vatican. The Vatican are all fucking pedophiles, and the people are revolting against anyway. But okay, so we understand the fact that pedophilia.
No, I'm saying if every single person knew this fact, it would be fucking.
Yeah, that'd be. But see, no one's willing to accept it because they see this as a crazy conspiracy theory. But every day you hear about actors and politicians touching little girls and like raping little boys, but no one seems to bat an eye.
Yeah, because it sounds too ridiculous to be true, right?
Yes, it does sound ridiculous to be true. That's how we've been programmed. Maybe.
Well, that's the thing. The more something ridiculous is, the more we warrant evidence to prove it's true, right? It's
Yes.
proportional.
Yes. Yes. Well, there is evidence to prove that it's true. I mean, the spirit cooking, there is evidence. There's evidence of like Joe Biden like touching little girls, a politician.
I'm not arguing that. What I'm
Okay.
saying is, if you come out and say to someone, a random person, the world is run by evil elites, they're blood-sucking pedophiles, and undertake spirit cooking, the person's gonna be like, wait, first of all, what the fuck are you smoking? Second of all, when they come to their senses, they're gonna ask, you better show me a lot of evidence, because I'm not gonna believe this. That's the thing.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense.
And you're right, they are, whenever someone says something like that, they're pigeonholed to the category of conspiracy theorists, schizophrenic, crazy madmen shouting in the street, all in that.
Yes, they are.
All in that category.
Okay, yes, they are. Okay, I understand that. Okay, so if we go back to the whole concept of Satanism, is satanic imagery occurring throughout music, such as the triangles, Baphomet, songs about the devil, songs about Satan, etc., etc. Okay, and then we also understand that this same satanic imagery is strife within corporations, within governments, within like flags, within anything that involves a symbol that represents power. Okay, then we can extend that just a little bit further, and then we can also look at so obviously numbers do pop up quite a bit. The number 666 obviously is very famous in Judeo-Christian because it's the number of the devil. Number 23, a lot to do with Roman Catholic times, and also to do with a lot in numerology and Gematria. Number 3, the number 11, the number 9, was it 9/11, number 23, April 11. Anyways, there's a lot of numbers, 9, 11, 13, 23, and 666 are numbers that occur a lot throughout numerology and is associated with the dark and evil spirit part of the world. And if we understand that, this is where it goes to COVID. Two things. Why does COVID, the COVID gene patent in the vaccines, or is it in the vaccines, or is it, no, sorry, I lied. It's to do with, why does Microsoft have a patent for a digital health passport device with the number 666 in it? Why?
Was Bill Gates involved in that?
Yes.
He had to be, because he spoke about how we're not prepared for...
Yes. For a pandemic. And then eventually invested in...
So if he knew that, he would have rushed to fast track
Well, he did.
a patent for something to alleviate that.
Now, why is the number 666 in it? Out of all the fucking numbers in the world, the number 666.
Don't ask me.
And that's how we relate. Fucking.
So you've drawn. Okay.
We've gone from Alistair Crowley and Black Sabbath to Bill Gates investing in the number 666 and COVID's a scam.
Okay. So we've drawn all those like string connections.
Yes.
So what does one do with that?
Nothing. You can't do anything. You can't. This is.
Don't run away.
What the fuck can you do? Like we can talk about this. We can show people video evidence of politicians touching girls and show them history, and show them like literally the book of the devil, and
Yeah.
show them all these things. But really, there's nothing you can actually do, because if you talk about it too much, you get killed, bro.
Yeah.
You're gonna get like
So
James
what-
McAfee.
What you say is these practices are so sophisticated
Yes.
and they're beyond what one could possibly do
Yes.
to dismantle it. That
Yes.
It's almost a matter of acceptance.
Yes. Yes. I mean, what can you do right now about the lockdown in Australia? What can you? We can't do it. The military is outside.
Well,
You literally cannot do anything. We can revolt, but we haven't got guns. How the fuck are we going to revolt?
it's a good question. Because I would argue it's such a cop-out answer to say, oh, we can't do anything.
Yeah, it
or
is a
whatever.
cop-out answer.
It's a cop-out,
It
I'm
is a
sorry.
cop-out.
for
It
anything.
is a cop-out answer.
Because you would agree that we're responsible for it.
Yes, we are. For letting these people control us.
Yes. Everyone's responsible for everything in a way.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So you can't say, oh, I can't do anything. That's not allowing your responsibility to
That's true.
flourish into action, is it? Whatever that may be.
Yes. Well, your one responsibility could be by stop listening to the evil devil music and start listening to underground music that's real. But that'll never happen because that doesn't sell. Because people like Katy Perry sell. Even though... Have you seen the fucking Katy Perry video where she has like a seizure and like it says she's possessed on stage?
Yeah.
Fucking scary.
So I would argue that we should just drop everything. Every thought. Everything.
So every
Not
song-
this versus that. Oh no, this underground music's better.
Just stop
Probably
caring.
not.
Just stop caring.
No, not even stop caring. Just
Just stop.
meditate.
Just meditate. Just meditate.
just
Just stop the progress of society and just meditate.
yeah.
Okay. That's that's one way of doing it, but well, you can't. I don't know if you can meditate. I don't think meditation is like seen as a. That's what meditation is seen as like such a hippie thing. Because we're always
It is. It actually is. And
yeah.
I think a lot of people they want to use meditation to a certain benefit for themselves. So I do meditation to feel calm throughout the day.
Mhm.
It's like a specific benefit
Yes.
that they extract
Yes.
from that action,
Yes.
which is what I think Western
Society needs.
society has adopted from meditation and those Eastern practices.
Mm-hmm. That's very true. Okay.
They've just found a way to adopt it and benefit themselves.
Okay. 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 Okay.
That's what we're all doing, right?
Yes, we are.
When we see something, we judge its value by the benefit it provides us.
Yes.
We're very utilitarian in that
Yes.
aspect.
Yes, we are. That I agree with 100%.
It's like, we see yoga from India, yoga and meditation, cool. That's going to calm me down.
And we try.
I need calm
Yes.
because I'm anxious.
Yes. But why are we anxious though? Is it a result of Western society, or is it our fault in ourselves?
It's a very deep
This
question
is-
that I've been
this-
exploring
this is
lately.
a fucking deep question, bro. And like, what is thought and the concept of thought? But fucking hell. But anyway, in sum,
In summary,
In
what do we
summary?
do with this satanic business that you're
What do we
bringing
do?
up there?
What do we
I
do?
don't even know what it is.
in
I don't even know
sum,
when to start or when to end, but
Okay.
how do we sum it up?
okay, in sum, it goes back thousands of years. But we can go into Israel and Palestine and the demonic temple in Iraq. But it's just in sum. Look up if you want to go down a rabbit hole. Look up Aleister Crowley and his influence on the music industry from the '60s. Obviously, a lot of bands from the '60s up until now uses a lot of imagery as prevalent in ancient Egyptian mythology and Freemasonic mythology and Luciferian mythology, such as the triangle, the words of Satan, devil, virgins, having sex with virgins, blood sacrifice, etc., which links to, and there is documented evidence of them participating in occult rituals, which involves blood sacrifice, which also involves numerology, linked to dark evil spirits, which links to essentially the COVID-19 vaccine and and the pandemic, and pretty much every world historical event that has ever occurred to a certain extent. Not every fucking historical account. Let's say 9/11 for instance.
That's a big
Yeah, it's a big step. Let's say 9/11 for instance was like, obviously to do with occult. Was it an occult sacrifice ritual? But yeah, I don't know. Look up Aleister Crowley. Look up spirit cooking. Look up like
Epstein.
yeah, Epstein and Joe Biden touching little girls, and like go down that rabbit hole if you dare.
How about pizza?
Yeah, Pizzagate. Pizzagate's a hard one to find out because Pizzagate's being like erased from the internet.
Right.
That's what the you gotta look at the journalist Ben Swan. So Ben Swan, I think he worked for CNN or CBS, and he did like a 20-minute expose on Pizzagate, and then he got fired, and then he just left. Went like from the internet for like 2 years, and then came back with his own media company. He's really cool. He does some. He's in Greece I think now.
Right.
Covering the vaccine passport. That's really, he does some cool journalistic work. But yeah, Pizzagate's fucking scary. And then you can look up how John McAfee recently predicted his own death, and how like the world was on the brink of making this public, but then COVID happened. Yeah,
Interesting.
that is actually very interesting.
All right. Well, I guess you could all do our own research and come to our own.
Yeah,
Ideas.
our own ideas.
Don't come to conclusions.
Yeah, don't come to a conclusion. There is no conclusion to this shit. Fucking everything is up in the open, bro. Everything's up in the fucking open.
All right.
Alright,
All good. See you later.
see you next week.